The comeback kids get it done on the road in Cincinnati. West Virginia wins this one in come-from-behind fashion, 59-54 over the Bearcats. We're going to talk about what this means for the big picture, what it means for the immediate future, and some recap and analysis here on this game recap. West Virginia over Cincinnati on the road to improve to 6-4 in conference play. We got you covered here on this episode of Mountaineer Moment. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Mountaineer Moment, episode 141. My name's Troy. I am your host here, and this is your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. Throughout basketball season, if you're new here, what we like to do is give you a preview and a recap of every single Mountaineer basketball game, and that's what we're doing here on this one with a recap of West Virginia's big-time road win over Cincinnati. Things were looking rather bleak if you watched this one. West Virginia didn't make a three for the entire first half. West Virginia's Honor Huff and Trace and Eagle staff were held scoreless in the first half, and they trailed by 10 after putting up just a 20-point performance in the first half. Cincinnati stretched that lead all the way out to 14 before Honor Huff took over and got West Virginia back in the game, and then some other guys stepped up with some big-time buckets late to get the West Virginia victory. Again, 59-54 the final from Cincinnati, and we're going to talk about all of that here on this episode of Mountaineer Moment. But before we get to that, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music so you can be in the know when we have new content coming your way. I know on YouTube we are slowly creeping up to 500 subscribers, and this show's been in existence just a little over 5 months. And so we would love to continue that trend and get over 500 and keep going, all right? Things have slowed down just a little bit. So if you've been watching and haven't been subscribed, or this is your first time watching Mountaineer Moment, I would, from the bottom of my heart, greatly appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and joining this Mountaineer Moment community as we seek to, or by we, I mean I seek to bring you Mountaineer coverage, football and basketball related. And again, West Virginia, Cincinnati, second time this season, and I'll say this, I said it over on Locked on West Virginia with Mountaineer Paul. Cincinnati in 2026 hates to see the West Virginia Mountaineers coming when it comes to basketball, because these are two wins that Mountaineers have picked up over Cincinnati, that Cincinnati left the arena thinking that they should have won. And this one especially, right, because there was a second half lead of double digits, you're at home, and then they go ice cold. West Virginia has Honor Huff get hot and start spreading the sugar around a little bit. And West Virginia ends up, beating you 59-54, but it was a 39-24 second half that proved to be the difference for West Virginia in this one. Obviously, no threes in the first half. They were either 0 for 9 or 0 for 10, somewhere in there. Second half, made 6, and they ended up taking 21 total. So you do the math. They were, 6 for 11, 6 for 12 in the second half. From beyond the arc, Honor Huff, 3 for 8 from deep. 16 points to go along with 6 assists. Joining him in double figures was B-Lo, Brennan Laureate, 11 points, 5 of 7 from the floor. He was a better matchup for Bob Miller, who had 15 points and 8 boards for Cincinnati, 3 blocks. He's really, really good, averaging a double-double this season. DJ Thomas struggled against him. But when B-Lo was on him, it was a little more difficult for Baba to get going. Jizzle James started out really hot. He finished with 18 points in this one. Day Thomas poured in 9. Celestine poured in 8 points. That pretty much does it for Cincinnati. DJ Thomas, again, 14 points off the bench, including a few really, really big, timely buckets in this one. A couple threes, one from up top, one from the corner, and then a free throw line jumper late as West Virginia extended their lead, maintained that, and pulls out the 5-point victory on the road to get their second road win of the season, their second road win in conference play, the other one coming against Arizona State. Now, comeback kids, right? That's what this was. And it was big for a variety of different reasons. One, you're coming off your first home loss You're coming off a home loss to Baylor, who has struggled immensely during Big 12 play. And things out of that were trending downward, looking a little more bleak. Your NCAA tournament chances looking a little more bleak. And then you fast forward to Cincinnati. You can't make a shot. You're down 10 at half. You're on the road. It's against the Cincinnati team that's, came in 11-11 and 3-6 in conference play. And you're sitting there thinking, well, this is it. You lose this one and things go from bleak to like really, 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 really ugly. And this win for West Virginia doesn't like bolster you all the way into the NCAA tournament field. But like we said over on Locked On West Virginia with Mountaineer Paul, this one keeps your pulse alive a little bit. There is still a lot of work to be done, but it had to start with this one. It just had to. You had to get this win. And you did. Somehow, some way, you pull out the win. You get to 15 wins overall. You get to 6-4 in conference play. And don't look now, but the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who are coming off a loss to Kansas, are coming to Morgantown Sunday afternoon for a 1 o'clock tip at Hope Coliseum, where Mountaineers have only lost one time this season, albeit the last game to Baylor. But a much better West Virginia team at home. And, easier said than done, but you enter that game with an opportunity to get to 7-4 in Big 12 play and pick up a ranked win over a really, really good Texas Tech team. So as poorly as this team played in the non-conference, and you've heard me say it, and as bad as they've looked against higher quality competition in Arizona and Houston and Iowa State on the road, as bad as those games went, you're sitting here early to mid-February, and there's a path. There just is. There's a path. You're 6-4 in conference play. You got Texas Tech at home. You got 8 games remaining in the regular season, and there's a path for you. A lot of work to be done, but there's a path to what's the magic number? I don't know. Is it 20 wins? Can they go 5-3 down the stretch over these next 8? I don't know. But they have an opportunity in front of them still, with as much as gone wrong this season, as bad as his offense has looked at times, as bad as it looked tonight against Cincinnati. There is a path. And that's a reason to be hopeful. But more about this game against Cincinnati. I mean, it truly was an awful showing in the first half, and it's something we've grown accustomed to, unfortunately, right? Mountaineers this is 4 straight games in the 50s for them. They've been fortunate to win a couple. But 3-point shooting, even look at that over the course of the last few games. Against Arizona, they made, I think, 7 threes in blowout fashion. Against Kansas State, you made 6. Against Baylor, you made 7 against Kansas State. I believe it was 5 against Baylor, and you make 6 against Cincinnati, 6 second-half threes to get you this win. And shooting hasn't been good, and this awful, awful offense in the first half. As I was watching that, it's not like it was all bad schemes and plays being ran. Sometimes the game's really simple, and I don't know why, I always think of Bob Huggins, like in just like how simple the game can be about just simply put, made shots. They made shots. No, he didn't make shots. I feel like Bob Huggins has said that a time or two, right? But it's true. Cincinnati started, Jizzle James especially, I think he started 4 for 4, and he was making shots. And then you look at Honor Huff and Eaglestaff, who put up zeros in the first half. They were missing shots. Open looks. Some of them, right? Honor Huff doesn't have a look he doesn't like. The length of Baba Miller bothered him a couple times for a couple block shots that were impressive from Miller, but sometimes the game is just really, really, really simple. You make shots and you miss shots. And West Virginia, in the first half, missed a lot of shots. And they trailed by 10 on the road against Cincinnati and against a good defense. And then they come out in the second half, and it was the Honor Huff show. So you find yourself down 10 at half. You come out, start the second half, and it's like, I'm saying to myself, it's so important to get on a really good run here to just get right back into this game real quick for the first media timeout. Well, that didn't happen. Jasper Floyd tried to find Harlan Obioha down low, and within 7 seconds of the second half starting, get a turnover, Cincinnati extends that lead to 14, and then it was Honor Huff time. Honor Huff went on a run, and you needed every bit of it. He knocked down 3 threes in a row. Then he took one inside. I think it was Sincere Harris that fouled him. He got an and one, so that's up to 12 points in a row. Then he got another and one opportunity to miss the free throw, but he scored 14 points consecutively to get you, I think it was within one. Because Cincinnati, I think, made a bucket in there too. But man, oh man, oh man, did you need every bit of that. And Honor Huff did what Honor Huff does. And he bailed you out, right? Because it was 14 points, and then it's like, oh my goodness, we're really going to fall to Cincinnati, and it might be an ugly loss, right? You might lose by 20 at this rate, 25. Honor Huff goes on a run, and by the middle point of the second half, it's a ball game. And other guys made shots, right? Honor Huff had 6 assists in this game, a lot of which came in the second half when he was just making the right reads and finding open guys. I mean, shout out to DJ Thomas. Again, a couple threes late. Shout out to Jasper Floyd for finding him on a massive clutch 3 in the corner with a couple minutes left when Floyd had it looked like an empty, or, no one around the rim, easy run to the rim, and then someone comes over to contest. Well, he finds out whose man that is. It's a wide open DJ Thomas in the corner. He finds him. He knocks it down. And then he makes another 3. He made a free throw line jumper, which he's been really good at this season. And so DJ Thomas has 14 points, his best performance on the road for the Mountaineers so far this year. And there was a lot that needed to go right, obviously, in the second half when you're trailing by double digits. But you got to give credit to this Mountaineer defense as well because, obviously, box score alone, you hold Cincinnati to 24 points in the second half on their home floor. But also keep in mind the fact that Cincinnati started this game really, really hot offensively with Jizzle James, Day Thomas, and company because they got off to 19 points in the first 10 and a half minutes. And then obviously you do the math, they finished with 54. So over the last 30 minutes, they had 35 points. And you will take that every single day of the week. Really, really impressive defense from West Virginia that allowed them to get this win. And funny enough, it was a similar game to Kansas State. If you had a feeling it was like a similar kind of game to that, well, exact same score, 59-54 in favor of the Mountaineers. And that was their last win. I guess it was Tuesday night against Kansas State. Then they fell to Baylor on Saturday, and now they get this win over Cincinnati. And I don't want to harp on it too much. And again, it's Baylor. Really strong program, just not having a great year, but they got a lot of talent. If you had won that game, you'd be sitting at 7-3 in conference play. You'd be sitting at 7-3 in conference play. But you're not, and I get that, and we're going to move on. But just crazy. Just absolutely crazy. And excuse me, you mentioned again, there are still opportunities on the horizon as we think big picture here for a moment. West Virginia has opportunities. They got 8 games left. You have Texas Tech and BYU, 2 ranked teams. BYU struggling. Texas Tech coming off, a couple losses in a row themselves to UCF and Kansas. So they're reeling just a little bit. And they both have to come to Morgantown. Then you got UCF, who's going to be ranked soon, I think. And you got them twice over the course of these last 8 games on February 14th and then on March 6th to close out the regular season. That's going to be big. And not to start sitting here looking at it and say, all right, well, this one's going to be in the win column. This one's going to be in the loss column. Not doing that. But as you look at these games as a whole, Texas Tech, UCF, Utah, TCU, Oklahoma State, BYU, K-State, and UCF. And you start thinking, and again, there's clear, we talked about it, I think, in the preview episode, or maybe the Baylor postgame here on Mountaineer Moment, but there's clear tiers in the Big 12 this season, right? You got Arizona, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU before they started struggling, and throw UCF in that picture, now 17-5 overall. And then there's some teams, right? Because right now there's it's looking like those 7 teams. Is that 7 that I just named? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. there's 7 teams that, as it stands right now, are in the tournament. Well, you look at the Big 12 standings, West Virginia is that next team. They're the only other team above 500 in conference play. And some other teams that are being talked about are Oklahoma State, who's 16-6. Baylor's on some bubbles that you've seen, and I don't get that one, but they're 3-7 in conference play, 13-9 overall. They picked up a win over Colorado by 19 after beating West Virginia. And so, I mean, you're not on the bubble yet. You're not. Obviously, this loss to Cincinnati would have done a lot of damage to that bubble. But you're not near. You're inching closer toward that bubble with this win, and you go out and knock off Texas Tech, which again, easier said than done. Completely get it, and we're gonna have you covered here, previewing that game here in just a couple days. All I know is West Virginia is 6-4 in the Big 12. They have a ranked opponent coming to Morgantown on Sunday afternoon, and an opportunity to pick up a signature win and to get to 7-4. 3 games over 500, right? Like, there's an opportunity there. Seize the moment, right? Like, will you capitalize on this opportunity? And I think that's really what the conversation is going to be on Sunday afternoon. Can you capitalize on this? Because as we've said, I probably already said it on this episode, like, you did yourself no favors in the non-conference. Couldn't beat anybody. Didn't beat anybody. And you very well could be left on the outside looking in at the NCAA tournament because you couldn't pick up a win or 2 over one of those teams that you ended up falling to. With that said, because you're in the Big 12, you got UCF twice. You beat them once. That is going to end up looking like a really good win. You got BYU at home. You got Texas Tech at home. You're not going on the road to play against a ranked opponent, except for UCF, who probably will be ranked when they play them next Saturday against, in Orlando on the 14th. You got Utah at home. You got TCU and Oklahoma State back-to-back on the road. That, both of those tough places to play. And Oklahoma State coming off a win against BYU, and they got their sights set on the NCAA tournament themselves. And so lots to speculate, lots to kind of like get way on a rabbit trail over something that, some things that might not even happen. And I get that, because we're still early February. There's 8 games left. But here's the reality. The obvious observation, as they say over on 3 Guys Before the Game with Hoppy Kercheval, saying, Hoppy's obvious observations. Well, an obvious observation is you win games. Like, you got 8 left. You win 6 of them, you're in the NCAA tournament. You just are. You win 5 of them, you got a real shot. You go 500 and then or an early exit in the Big 12 tournament, well, maybe you're on the outside looking in. But, like, you still are in a place, right? You talk about in the NFL a lot, and MLB and NBA when it talks about standings toward the end of the season, a team that controls their own destiny. Well, right now at this very moment, West Virginia is a basketball team that controls their own destiny. You don't need help from other teams, or you don't need other teams to lose if you just go take care of business. And I get it, going 6-2 over this stretch of 8 games that they have remaining is a tall task that they simply put might not be able to do. And that wouldn't shock anybody. It wouldn't shock me, right, if they go 3-5. But you control your own destiny. And with a whole new roster, whole new coaching staff, whole new look, everything that this team is, this program has been up against for a number of years, you're sitting here early February with a shot. You got a fighter's punch, puncher's chance, and puncher's chance to go and do something here. And so with 8 games left, go make it happen. And it starts with Texas Tech on Sunday afternoon. But, we're having a very, very different conversation if this game against Cincinnati went on the trajectory that it was looking to go on. I'd be deflated right now. The bubble would be very burst, it would be bursted almost. And but it's not. You pick up a win against a Cincinnati team that's really angry because you beat them twice on games that you probably shouldn't have. But a win is a win. West Virginia picks up the win, 59-54 over Cincinnati. The comeback kids overcoming a second-half deficit of 14 points behind Honor Huff and company to get the win. Again, this is Mountaineer moment, and big picture, well, Mountaineers got a shot. As we sit right here on February 5th, Thursday night, with Selection Sunday a few weeks away, at this point in time, you're not out of it yet. You're not in it yet. There's work to do, but there's opportunities for work to be done, and that's all you can ask for at this point in time. So, episode 141 of Mountaineer Moment. Again, my name's Troy. We would love for you to join this growing community. Hit that subscribe button for us. And again, most likely your next episode here on Mountaineer Moment will be a preview of the big-time matchup showdown at the Hope Coliseum. West Virginia hosts JT Toppin, Christian Anderson, and Texas Tech. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a fun one. They're wearing the black jerseys, Cole Rush, and would be massive to get a win there. We'll talk about how they can do that in the next episode, so be on the lookout for that coming your way in a couple days. We'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment.